everyone, my name is Steph, this is the Novelty Corner, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome to another Try a Chapter video. For those of you who are unaware, this year I have been doing a series of Try a Chapter videos where I'm trying to get through my unread books, either physical or ebook form, or even audiobooks, to try and see if there are things that I still really want to read, because I'm now a really big advocate for DNFing things or getting rid of things that you are no longer interested in. But sometimes you just need to actually give things a shot first. And I'm quite happy to give things a one chapter shot and then make a decision there, because part of the job of an author is to hook you in that first chapter. And so I'm really enjoying doing this. It's a great way to sort of either rekindle my interest in things that have been sitting on my TBR for a long time, or for just being able to make a decision to say, no, you know what, let's get rid of that because there are other things that I want to read. As we are heading into the spooky season, we are going to do a paranormal romance try a chapter tag. I have an unread paranormal romance folder on my Kindle. It currently has 96 books on it. It's a lot of books. And that doesn't even include any of the Kindle Unlimited titles that I have sitting on my TBR for October that are paranormal romance. But that's okay, we're just going to go through 10 books from this list. I know that doesn't seem like a lot compared to 96, but it is a nice round number. It's a good one for a video, and it's a good one to film in a relatively short period of time. Now, some of the books in here may skew more fantasy or urban fantasy. Some may skew slightly sci-fi. I've tried to take out anything that is overtly science fiction romance or overtly fantasy romance, but there's a little bit of overlap in this category because they all fit under that speculative sci-fi fantasy category with romance. So sometimes it can be a little bit hard to judge, especially if the books are a little bit older. Okay, so the way that we are going to choose books, we're going to use a random number generator to pick 10 numbers. Maybe we'll just do all of the numbers now. That might actually be easier. Hold on, we need some paper. All right, first number comes up with 28 when I generate. I'm going to press the number 3 times, and that's going to be number 1. 1, 2, 3. What is that, 15? Okay, so book number 15 will be our first one. Then we will have 19, or sticking in the teens. 33, 43, 63. I'm not sure if this is random or not. Anyway, we're just gonna go with it. Oh, 65, 13, 26, 46, 3, 6, 9, one more, and 45. First time I've used that random number generator, but we're with it. We're just gonna go with it. Okay, so let's work out what is number 15. 15 is Allison's Underland, and that is by C.M. Stunich. Then we have 19, which is Thor by J.C. Andrijeski. Then 33, so that's 20, 25, 30, 33 is, well, it's a box set of Immortal Vegas by Jenn. I think I have started this series. I think I've actually tried this in another Try a Chapter video. If I have, then I'll go with the next one, the one before it, which is Dragon Called by Lockharte. I'll give it a shot and see if I remember what the book was. 33, okay. So 43 is Totally Lucky by Zoey and Diane. So 43, so that'll be 45, 50, 55, 60. So 63 is Medusa's Destiny by Lacey, Carter, Andersen. 65 is Shadowbound by Bec McMaster, which I actually have a physical copy of, but I'll start it here. This is already on my TBR for October, so I mean, this is a good chance just to get a sense of what I'm in for. All right, then 13 is Dead Witch Walking by Kim Harrison. 26 is Night Rains by Diane Duvall, which I've had for ages. And then we had 46. 30. 46 is Wheel of Fortune by Kirke, Vincent. And then 45 is Sailing with Her Wolf by Ariel, which looks like a sapphic paranormal. That's cool. All right, I've got my list. We're gonna read the first book. So Alice's Adventures in Underland is obviously an Alice in Wonderland reimagining. It is a dark, potentially why choose story. Here's the thing to know about me. I actually really enjoy Alice in Wonderland retellings because Alice in Wonderland is completely messed up in general. And so in terms of a premise for a story, for a really messed up story, it's always good fun. I just don't think I connected to the writing in this one. So you have Allison, who is dragged out to a party, a high school party with her sister, and she ends up seeing the guy that she likes shot by the rabbit character, boy wearing rabbit ears, and then going down a hole and being confronted by 2 naked guys out with the tags "Eat Me and Drink Me" around him. And Look, I like ridiculousness as much as anybody else, but I don't think I'm going to be able to handle this one. So that's probably going to be a DNF, which means the next book we are going to try is Thor. And we'll see what that one's like. I've got no idea. The first chapter of Thor is from Thor's perspective. He has come back to Earth. He hasn't been there for a while. It's a Norse god retelling, and he has been sent to Earth to track down his nephew Jormungandr. I can never remember this one. Where is it gone? Jormungandr. Will be mispronouncing that, because of course I will be. Anyway, he's been sent to fetch his nephew, and his nephew is having none of it. So yes, that's where we get up to. The second chapter is from the perspective of Sylvia, who I'm going to assume is the female protagonist, because that's why she would get a chapter. But yeah, we don't really know how they meet yet. I'm kind of intrigued. I do like a good Norse gods story. So that is, you know, a potential. We are going to see if I did start the Jenn Stark books. Pretty sure I did. Yeah, so I have tried that already. So rather than reread that chapter, I obviously haven't gotten to it, so I kind of need to make a decision about that very soon. I forgot to write down which one I said I was going to. Oh, Dragon Called. That's the one I'm going to read next instead. So Dragon Called by Kara Lockharte and Cassie Alexander. I am very intrigued by Dragon Called. I'm kind of glad that this has ended up being one I've read the first chapter of instead of Immortal Vegas. So this one is about Andy. She's a nurse and she's been hired for a private job to look after someone, but she doesn't have any details. So all she knows is she's been hired by a billionaire. And so she turns up at this place. A driver picks her up to take her into the property, and there's a moment where she feels really deep, intense fear. And then it passes really quickly and she's taken into the house, and no one is giving her any details except that she's to care for a man who has fallen down the stairs for 8 hours while everyone else in the house is out. It's so intriguing. It's so intriguing. Like, we know someone's going to be a dragon, and I'm pretty sure that the driver that picked her up is the billionaire character, the dragon, but he hasn't given her his name. I'm really intrigued by this one, like very, very intrigued. So the next one is Totally Lucky by Zoey Indiana. Okay, so this book is only 46 pages long, so I'll probably finish it at the end of the vlog. The first chapter is from I'm assuming it's the male main character's perspective. We don't have his name, but he is a bartender who works the shifter speed dating events, which is part of this shifter speed dating romance series. I've read a few of the books in the series, totally out of order. Anyway, this appears to be a magical romance. That is a new one for me. She is the magical. So that is definitely a new one. All right, the next book on the list is Medusa's Destiny. The first chapter of Medusa's Destiny, apparently it is a series of standalone interconnected why choose romances. Of course, they don't use that language because they still use the RH term, which we no longer use, right? Anyway, so it starts out with Medusa. She's out having a drink. She sees a girl being attacked by a couple of guys, so she steps in to try and defend her, and at one point her glasses are knocked off and she turns someone to stone. That's essentially it. I don't know how I feel about this one. I'm going to sit with this one, decide whether it's something I'm going to continue or DNF. But next on the list is Shadowbound by Bec McMaster. So I'm very excited that I'm going to be reading this in October. So it is a historical paranormal romance, kind of plus potential. Well, I don't know if it's going to sit in that steampunk category, but it's definitely historical paranormal romance. And you have Ianthe, who is some kind of shadow binder, so she has magic. When we meet her at the start of the chapter, she is visiting a man in prison. He's Lord Rathborn, and she's the one who put him in there. And she's offering to free him because she needs him to do a job for her. And he agrees to 2 weeks being bound to service with her, and after that he will be free from this binding. And she's told him, you can even come after me if you think you can. And it's very intriguing. It's very intriguing. I'm looking forward to reading the whole thing. So I'm not going to read it in this video because I already have plans to read it in October, and I have the physical copy, so I'd like it because I would like to annotate it as well. Very positive start. Dead Witch Walking is the next one on the list. I'm not even going to make it through the first chapter here because I just don't care. It feels like an old school, I don't know when this was published, but it feels like an old school urban fantasy paranormal romance, and I'm just not vibing with this one. So I got 2% in. The first chapter is 61 pages long. I love you all, but I'm not sitting through 61 pages for a first chapter. I'm not doing it. Remember when I said first chapters have to hook you in? We've had some excellent examples of first chapters that have hooked me. This is not one of them. So the next book is Night Reigns, which I also think is another old school paranormal romance. So we'll we'll see. So this is a really interesting world. We start out with Amy, who is out watching a fight between vampires and an immortal guardian who is infected by the same virus that makes vampires, but has additional DNA sort of things that has made them different. Anyway, the immortal guardian's name is Marcus. He is fighting a bunch of vampires who are working in a coordinated fashion, which they shouldn't be doing, and she manages to kill a bunch of them. And it turns out that she is a second human who knows about this world. And anyway, after that fight, they kind of go their separate ways. They don't really introduce themselves to each other. And then when Marcus is home, sort of the leader of the Immortal Guardians introduces him again to Amy, who doesn't realize that that's where she is, and basically declares that she is now going to be his second, that he needs one. And the second is that human who knows about the world, who is there as backup for them. And that's basically where it leaves off. I don't know if I'm going to continue this one. Not because it was bad, like it feels like an old school paranormal romance. It's well written. I'm very intrigued kind of by this world. I just don't know if I'm intrigued enough to continue. Definitely not at the moment, but it's a potential. So Wheel of Fortune is next. Okay, this one is going to be a DNF as well, because I'm not even the whole way through the first chapter. I'm already lost and confused because there's so many characters, there's so many things going on, there's a lot of descriptions of food, and now they're doing a tarot reading and someone's going to die, because of course they are, because why wouldn't we play into that trope? Yeah, no, I'm gonna pass. All I know is that the main character's name is Autumn, and I just got a play-by-play of every second of her day in the first chapter, and I'm not even done yet. Who does that? Alrighty, so we're up to the last book, which is Sailing with the Wolf, which I believe is a sapphic story. Okay, so that was a fairly short chapter, one of the few. Anyway, it is from Marley's perspective. Marley is a wolf shifter who has grown up along the coastline, and she and her best friend Zara are taking one of Marley's family's yachts out for a girls' trip. And Marley has been in love with Zara and recognizes that Zara is her mate, but Zara has never demonstrated an interest in women. That's where I think this is going to be a friends to lovers-ish romance. I'm not going to completely DNF it. I would like to read at least a couple more chapters to sort of see what the interplay is like between the two characters. So yeah, this one's going to stay for now. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish Totally Lucky because it's only 46 pages long, and I would really like to read Dragon Called. So those are going to be two books that I talk about towards the end of this video, so stay tuned. I'm not done yet, but what I can say is I have made a decision on my DNF. So I've DNF'd Allison's Adventures in Underland, I've DNF'd Medusa's Destiny, I'm just going to call it on that one. I've DNF'd Dead Witch Walking, and also Wheel of Fortune. So 4 books have left. I'm going to read 2, and then I'll have so I'll have 4 books left that I have at least attempted and would like to continue, which that's not bad. Okay, so I finished Totally Lucky. I don't understand why I still pick up these books and read them. They're silly, ridiculous novella, fun sort of stories. I don't actually enjoy reading them, so I don't know why I have them. And I'm not saying that, you know, I'm not saying that they're bad books. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. So the male main character's name is Emmett. He accidentally becomes mated to one of the last female manticore shifters, which prompts her betrothed to be very cranky, and so there is a fight there. And then in this world there are all these rules about shifters mating to humans, and most of the time it's male shifters mating to female humans, and Emmett happens to be the first male human that is mated to a female shifter, and so the powers that be are not happy with that. Like, if there was more time invested in developing the world and that story, maybe, but in 40 pages, I don't care. I really don't. Oh well, that's done. So now I'm gonna get back to Dragon Call, because that one I'm invested in after 1 chapter. I want to know what's happening. I finished Dragon Called, and it's a really interesting book. So, or well, at least an interesting setup. So we met Andy, as I told you about earlier, and yes, I was right, Damien is the dragon. And he and his supernatural friends are basically on Earth, and they're trying to stop portals from opening up where other monsters are coming through. And so the entire book is essentially them being caught up in these attacks. So Damien at the start is attacked by a succubus, and Andy, who is not supposed to know about any of this world, ends up finding out because he comes back injured, and he's also still under the effects of the succubus's pheromones, which causes her to try and jump him. From then on, she figures out and sees his dragon, and then they get caught up with a whole bunch of things that are going on. So the friend that she was there to care for and look after as a nurse ends up in the hospital, but there's also some stuff going on where he's being used as a portal. Their relationship is not a relationship at the end. They are obviously attracted to one another. They're mates and the dragon. I always love it when the shifter side of the character has an inner voice, and so they're talking to each other. Like, I enjoy that. Anyway, the dragon is delightful. I would like to know more about the dragon. That's kind of ongoing, and Damien is just constantly, like, he can't keep his hands off of her, but he also is bad for her, and he tells her, and he is a giant asshole. So that's interesting. So their story continues in the second book, so that's definitely going to stay on my radar because I enjoyed this one. Like, it was just over 200 pages, which is like the sweet spot for paranormal romance, really. And yeah, I'm intrigued by the other characters. There is a talking immortal guardian cat that can shift into all sorts of things called, oh god, what was its name? Grimalkin. And Grimalkin also has a love of blue cheese, apparently. So yeah, that was just a really fun time, and I'm glad that I actually gave it a shot and read it. That's a very successful try chapter vlog. So I'll leave all the books that I talked about listed down below. I'd be interested in knowing if you've read any of them or if you're planning on picking any of them up. Otherwise, I will see you guys in my next video. So happy spooky season, and you can leave a dragon emoji to let me know that you're here if you want to. Bye everyone.